Talking about Cody Rhodes, Dan Lambert had this to say to WrestleBinge about his time in AEW. He played the politics game better than anybody in history and sucked up to Tony Khan, man, and got his way all the time. What the hell is a chief brand officer? What does that even mean other than to feed your ego? On Logan Paul's podcast, Cody Rhodes mentioned what Vince McMahon said to him prior to his Hell in a Cell match against Seth Rollins, where he had a torn pec. I wasn't going to have it any other way. I had to have the match at least. The medical exam was simple. It was completely torn. There was nothing else that could happen to it. Vince knew I wasn't going to take no. I had a great conversation with him, and he was really clear about, hey man, if you're struggling out there, we've got to call it. I was just on Planet Z. I was in shock, shock puke, where you feel like you're going to vomit, like when you break a bone or whatever. I hit something up front and thought, nope, and I sat right up. I mean, the injury made me feel like the pay-per-view that we were going through, Hell in a Cell. You're supposed to be like, oh, I've been in the end zone before. I haven't, right? I've been close, but I'm going to Hell in a Cell. The posters, this giant photo of me. It's the most peacock new subs for this PLE, this premium live event. They all want to see this Hell in a Cell match with Seth and I in the arena. It's just my face on the chairs. And what I thought was, maybe I don't have it. Maybe I don't have what John Cena has, Reacting to Seth Rollins calling CM Punk a cancer and telling him not to come to WWE, Booker T said on his Hall of Fame podcast he was shooting 100%. I'm just glad I didn't have to say it. I'm just glad people can't look at me now and be like I'm a hater. I keep my mouth shut. My mama always told me if you don't have something good to say about somebody, don't say nothing at all. You hear other guys that have been around the business that feel and speak the same way about Phil Brooks, and it's because of being around him. People stop thinking everything is a work. If I say something negative to the point about somebody being a cancer in the locker room, I'm not playing, okay? That's not stuff you play around with. That's not an angle. That's just not. I know a lot of people out there that's not in the business that wants to think that, but sometimes it's real. It's real talk. Talking about how Vince McMahon did not help Kamala, Jake Roberts revealed on his Snake Pit podcast, it's not there. You can't have a relationship with Vince McMahon. He's not going to let you get that close to him. I think he respects me and I respect him. Vince did a great thing for wrestling, but he could have done it a whole lot better if he would have just been more fair. If he would have paid the guys better. If he would have taken care of the guys after they got busted up. That's my complaint. You're a big billionaire and you got guys rotting and dying needing help. The worst was probably Kamala, who desperately needed help. He made Vince a lot of money. He was a big draw. I do know that Vince helped Scott Hall, but he didn't help Kamala, and that just rubs me the wrong way. Talking about the upcoming WrestleMania match between SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair and Women's Royal Rumble winner Rhea Ripley, Ric Flair said on his podcast, it's got to be one of the main events. It's going to be spectacular. Rhea has matured so much. That match they had in front of no people a couple of years ago was fantastic. I can only imagine, the Queen is in a place where she just plain and simply is the best worker in the business, in the company. I'm sure that she and Rhea will tear the joint down. If I were the guys, I wouldn't want to follow them, and I would hope that they'd be on last. As much as I enjoy that group she's with, which worked out really nice, I'm really happy that she's going out on her own now again. I like that. Win, lose, or draw. I don't know whether she'll stay with that group or not, but she is such a great singles attraction. She and the Queen will just tear it down. I'm so excited for both of them. As it was previously noted that Hulk Hogan wasn't in the best shape health-wise and couldn't feel his legs, Kurt Angle added to this, saying on his podcast, Hogan had his back surgery again. He had the nerves cut from his lower back. He can't feel his lower body, so he has to use his cane to walk around. I thought he was using the cane because he has pain in his back. He doesn't have any pain. He has nothing at all. He can't feel anything, so now he can't feel his legs, so he has to walk with a cane. That's pretty serious, man. I really feel for Hogan. He put his heart and soul into the business, and it ate him up. While John Cena is rumored to be facing Austin Theory at WrestleMania this year, it seems he will be busy leading up to the event filming a movie, as Variety said. Peter Farrelly, director of Oscar-winning film Green Book, will start production of his long-awaited Rick Stenicki next month. The picture will shoot in Melbourne, Australia, where the film's two stars, Zac Efron and John Cena, have now arrived. For a feature story on Bloomberg's website, an AEW star revealed that Vince McMahon asked about his competition, as it reads. Bryan Danielson, one of WWE's top stars, says that in early 2020, McMahon called him and asked a question that shocked the wrestler. Do you see anything that AEW is doing better than us? Danielson, at home on paternity leave, spent the next 2 weeks watching every morsel of AEW programming and came to a conclusion. AEW committed more time to and placed more value on the craft of fighting in the ring. WWE's shows were often marked by long segments of characters on the microphone and short matches. Feels like you're watching a wrestling show without any wrestling, Danielson told McMahon. On Out of Character, Charlotte Flair talked about her promo from Raw's 30th anniversary show, where she noted what was taken out of it. Everything. Basically me. Take away my accolades? Take away everything? On Raw 30 originally, I was gonna say, and I beat Trish Stratus, Ronda Rousey, Nikki and Brie Bella, Bayley, Becky Lynch. Name all the women I've beaten. How about I just say, and I've had the opportunity to face those women. When it comes from me, I feel like I have to. There's such a fine line with anything that I say. So it was just, I've had the opportunity to face all of these people, and whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy, I would definitely say all of these women helped me get to where I am. But even just saying beat versus face them, everything is so micromanaged. Like, how many times can I say 14-time world champion in a promo? Just once. Maybe just don't say it at all. You know what I mean? On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T gave praise to Logan Paul and his performances in WWE, as he said that kid Logan Paul, he's an athlete. He's a stud, and more importantly, he loves the business. He's a fan. You could tell he loves this. It's not like getting in the boxing ring for him. That's work. Doing this, man, he could do this in his sleep. You know what I mean? And he does it very, very well. And to be able to pull that spot off right there, just that one spot, that was a highlight. That was a trending moment for both of those guys, and for him to work at that level where he could pull something off like that with Ricochet, who is an extraordinary talent, I give him a lot of props. He's gonna have to grow into being really, really great, but I'm gonna tell you right now, his base that he's starting from, bro, he's well above, head and shoulders above so many guys that's in that locker room right now. Speaking of the pitch black match from the Royal Rumble, Bray Wyatt would be called out for burying LA Knight, as Jim Cornette said on his podcast. Bray Wyatt then throws the toolbox into the ring, and normally I'm thinking, now it's a garbage match. But I would have loved it if he'd ever used it, but he didn't. I didn't see him take anything out of the toolbox. He sold almost nothing. He didn't take any bumps. None of his work stands out. And then LA Knight gets a glowing fluorescent kendo stick and hits him 2 or 3 times with it. And Wyatt responds to that by just grabbing him and hitting his finish 1, 2, 3. And that was it. That was the match. Then while LA Knight is selling, Bray Wyatt goes in the corner and puts another horror movie mask on and then turns around and starts menacing. You can't call it chasing because there was not a lot of running, just menacing LA Knight. And LA Knight keeps backing up and out of the ring and down the aisle at the same time. He's hitting this goofy guy with this kendo stick, and Bray Wyatt is not selling any of them. He just keeps progressing forward. And finally they get to the back of the arena, and Bray Wyatt puts the mandible claw on LA Knight and puts him out and rolls him off the stage or whatever they're on. And you can't see there he's on a crash pad, which they're trying not to shoot because it's a crash pad. And I'm saying, my God, I've just thought they might as well. Why not piss in his mouth while he's down there? They beat him flat. And then the guy sells nothing when he's hit him over the head with a stick. And then he puts the claw on him and shoves him off into something. I'm thinking, what the hell? And then there's Captain Howdy on the top of whatever the set dressing was, 20 feet in the air. and he does an elbow drop off this thing out of the camera view, supposedly onto LA Knight, but obviously not only nowhere near, but onto a crash pad that actually goes poof when they land on it. And you see that the guy's feet kind of fly up like he's bounced on the bouncy castle. He's at a kid's birthday party in the bouncy castle, and then pyro shoots off when he lands the elbow, and then at the top of the thing that he's jumped off of, the puppets, the pig, and the ocelot, and the duck-billed platypus, whatever, they all appear. I never thought I'd say this, LA Knight was better off as Max Dupree. It seems there are plans in place for another title match at WrestleMania on top of the Undisputed and SmackDown women's title bouts, with WrestleVotes reporting. I'm told while not decided 100%, there are plans to feature an Intercontinental Championship three-way match at WrestleMania, Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. There are a number of supporters within creative that not only want the match, but they want it towards the top, to be decided. According to Fightful, Brock Lesnar seems to have backstage heat for his actions at the Royal Rumble, as it was said that there were a couple of people in the ring and ringside who weren't prepared for the stairs spot and didn't know it was coming. The spot where Brock Lesnar threw a piece of the announce table inside the ring was also unplanned. One source said, "We knew a freakout was planned, and it's Brock, so expect anything and everything." So all seemed well there. However, the spot that seemed to get Lesnar a bit of heat was an unplanned situation, was when referee Eddie Orengo was thrown over the barricade. We're told that initially it looked like he possibly sustained a foot injury, but we're not sure of the status of Orengo. He was supposed to be the ref that raised Cody Rhodes' hand at the end of the match, which was changed when he had to sell to the back. It's worth noting that when Fightful was told about this and had it confirmed, one source said heat is a relative term for Brock Lesnar. He's not going to get in trouble. He's certainly not going to be fired like Crime Time was. It's a new regime, new rules, and I'm not sure anyone involved was mad or not, but some people backstage were. On that same media call, Michaels was asked about former NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose being fired from WWE due to her online adult content. As he said, obviously it's not the ideal situation. I will say, if I'm allowed to say for the record, I didn't fire her. I can't fire anybody. The only thing correct about any of that was I handle creative. It was unfortunate. I think Mandy was fantastic for us. I absolutely enjoyed working with her. She was a phenomenal champion. We would have loved things to have gone differently and been able to build our story with Roxanne, but I was put in a position where I was made to make a call creatively. What I've learned doing this job was nothing comes before the brand, and we have to put those things forward, and that's what we did. Roxanne was certainly what we were going to go regardless, but we just had to cut a few weeks earlier than we expected to. The great thing is we're back on course, and I will say I think the world of Mandy Rose. She was nothing but phenomenal with us, and we'll miss her. As Cody Rhodes has won the Royal Rumble and will challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed title at WrestleMania 39, the Wrestling Observer newsletter pointed out that the entire storyline that brought Rhodes to WWE did almost have to result in him winning the title his father never could win. But that didn't have to take place at Mania, just had to take place at some time. The fact WWE wanted Dwayne Johnson in the spot and even contacted Steve Austin for the spot tells you they weren't married to the idea of Rhodes having to headline the show or win the title, at least from Reigns. Talking about the behind-the-scenes ongoings during the most recent WWE pay-per-view, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reported that Vince McMahon was not seen at the Royal Rumble, and his creative influence was not felt on the show. Those that we've heard back from have stated that from a day-to-day and weekly basis, the atmosphere is much more laid back. One of the only reminders of Vince's influence remains the Vince's Office directional sign that hasn't been changed since he left, but points to a section of the backstage area that is completely different. One source says, "It's not like anyone is fearful of bringing up his name, but generally, most haven't really asked much since Triple H, Nick Khan, and Kevin Dunn held meetings assuring the roster that McMahon wouldn't be involved in creative or talent relations." One talent that had noted to us that the process of the Rumble itself was the easiest in a long time without Vince McMahon at the helm, and that there were way less last-minute changes. That talent also said that you can't really count 2021 towards that because of COVID, but that this year's was a dream compared to last year's nightmare. nightmare. Talon also spoke of the main event segment being a new age curtain sellout, with many people quietly around monitors watching the Bloodline Sami Zayn angle play out. In some unfortunate news, pro wrestling legend Lanny Poffo was passed away at the age of 68, as Hacksaw Jim Duggan revealed on Facebook. With a very, very heavy heart, I've been asked to let everyone know about the passing of our friend and colleague Lanny Poffo, the genius. Rest in peace, Lanny. WWE would release a statement on the matter as it reads, WWE is saddened to learn that Lanny Poffo, best known to sports entertainment fans as the Genius, passed away at 68 years of age. The son of Angelo Poffo and younger brother of WWE Hall of Famer Macho Man Randy Savage, Lanny Poffo had a style all his own. Arriving in WWE in 1985 alongside his brother, Leaping Lanny Poffo was one of the first high flyers in WWE. While he achieved some success as a fan favorite, reading his own poetry and throwing frisbees to the crowd, he reached new heights as the Genius while managing Mr. Perfect. WWE extends its condolences to Poffo's family, friends, and fans. Many in pro wrestling would react to this. X-Pac wrote, "Rest in peace, my friend." The Iron Sheik would say, "Lanny Poffo, my brother, I love you forever. Give Nikolai, Randy, and Elizabeth hug for me." Tommy Dreamer said, "It has been reported Lanny Poffo has passed away. I always enjoyed his work in the ring and that he had poem for all of us." The Blue Meanie wrote, "Aw man, what a great guy. I had the pleasure of doing a movie with Lanny called Curse of the Wolf, and he was such a pleasure to be around. Rest in peace, Lanny Poffo." Virgil wrote, "Lanny Poffo, the genius. Man, I'm so sorry, brother. Love you and Randy more than you will ever know. Rest in peace." Bobby Fulton wrote, "I'm very sorry to hear the passing of Lanny Poffo. Great guy and friend. Prayers for his family, friends, and fans." And Dave Meltzer said, "Very sorry to hear about the death of Lanny Poffo. Best to family and friends." When asked about working with WWE at some point, AEW President Tony Khan told WTF with Mark Maron, "Who knows? It's something I would certainly be open to, and I think it's an interesting thing for the future. It's not something that's ever really been done. They've kind of existed in their own space. We are working with a lot of wrestling promotions, and at times they've done stuff like that, but it would be a really interesting thing to see at some point. I think it's like Marvel and DC. You don't see those superheroes really crossing over very much. I think there'd be a lot of jostling for who's going to be positioned stronger. It would get very political." Staying on the topic of AEW, new details have come out about a streaming deal for the promotion, with Bloomberg noting that in March, Khan acquired the small but respected pro wrestling company Ring of Honor from Sinclair Broadcasting Group Incorporated for an undisclosed sum, adding a new crop of wrestlers, some intellectual property, and an extensive video library. AEW is also considering starting a streaming service, likely through a deal with its broadcast partner Warner Bros. Discovery Inc., according to a person familiar with management's thinking, who asked not to be named. Last year, AEW broke $100 million in annual revenue for the first time, the person says. It was added on Wrestling Observer Radio. "It's hard for me to judge that because the two things everybody ran with afterward were both not true. The video game is not coming out this month, obviously, because if it was, we would all know. And then the other one is they're not close to a streaming deal. Of course, they want one. It's been talked about forever, for more than a year, but it's not a deal that's on the horizon right now." For an interview with CNBC, Nick Khan was asked when WWE could be sold, as the WWE CEO responded, "Quick, and I'm not trying to be obtuse in saying that, but I think it's going to be a pretty fast process, maybe 3 months." Talking about the previously mentioned interview with Nick Khan on CNBC, an analyst told Khan that Comcast was unlikely to purchase WWE, as Raj Giri reported. David Faber tells Nick Khan that Comcast NBCU is probably not in the running to buy WWE. Nick Khan said they're still bullish on Comcast being possible, but there's not much he can say about it. A question was also asked 2 times during that interview on CNBC with Nick Khan about Vince McMahon being willing to step back from involvement with WWE if the company were to come across the right deal, with it said that Vince has declared to the board he's 100% open to transactions where he's not included in the company moving forward. A CNBC article would detail how this has been an issue for a transaction, writing, "McMahon's potential future involvement in WWE has become an early sticking point in preliminary talks with various buyers," according to people familiar with the matter, who asked not to be named because the discussions are private. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.